All right, welcome back to another episode of the Top of Off Cricket Podcast. I am your host, Kevin Henry. And with me, I got my boy them, Walter and Sam. And we talking everything West Indies cricket because you don't know, it's the full of energy season. So, I gotta tell you at one time, test match starting Wednesday morning, bright and early. Catch your tail down to Kensington Oval. My Bajan people them. Kensington Oval is your place. You understand? Tell the boss we're not coming to work today. Anyways,
I'm calling in sick.
Yes.
Calling in sick. Like King Bobo, you know.
Not one rascal today. Anyways, so few players are conspicuous by their absence from the West Indies team. And one of those is Joshua Da Silva, right? Josh recently went on a podcast, and along with Jason Mohammed, and he had some things to say. But Walter, given the fact that Josh has been in the West Indies team for over 5 years, do you think Coach Sammy handled his axing properly? Sammy, CWI, did they handle Da Silva's axing properly?
You know what? I'll give a soft yes. Why? From what we've heard listening to from Josh himself, he said that him and Sammy had a conversation, and Sammy told him that at this point, he's not in consideration for selection. The thing is, again, with West Indies cricket is, yes, he told Josh, but there is very little communication to us, the fans. So there's a lot left in the air. And I know that you would say that he told him to go and make runs, but I guess the problem, I would like to think that Josh didn't give us enough information, and maybe he just told him that he should go and basically make runs and come back again, right? So, and to get back in his team, and what would be his role, right? I guess Josh should probably have that conversation, knowing the culture that we're in. We're people that we don't communicate properly, and West Indies cricket is just a microcosm of it. So the modern young players, the modern people, modern West Indians are seeing the importance of communicating. So I think that yes, he communicated to Josh. I don't know how effective that was in terms of Josh understanding his role and how he could get back into the team. And lastly, I think it's important for them to tell us as fans what is happening, and we don't know.
So you felt like that would have been a Miles Bascom CWI thing to say, well, look, or even a Darren Sammy thing to be more explicit with regards to why Josh wasn't being considered, not even for the A team.
Yeah, and you should do, because this guy was someone who was the heir apparent to the captain. I mean, granted that looking at his stats, he's the one that caused himself to be dropped, that he left. As you said on numerous occasions, Josh has gotten too comfortable, right? So it's understandable that he got dropped. And I understand where Sammy is going. And really looking at the team is in terms of the top part of the middle, it's a really new look team, right?
When you look at the squad now, and based on what Sammy's expecting from the team, and everybody's got their roles and all these kind of things, right? And he's looking to build a dynamic team, right? Do you think Da Silva is he's a Sammy type player? Let's put it that way.
The first thing that the word that you said, again, you use the word dynamic, and Sammy says dynamic, but we don't understand. I don't understand what he means by dynamic,
Mm.
right? But Sammy type player. Who is a Sammy type player? Well, I know who's a Sammy type player. Royston Chase. Right? We got to be realistic. He's a Sammy type player.
Behave
Right?
yourself, Walter. Behave yourself.
It's true though. He's not lying. He likes the fellow. He likes he's a Chase is a very good cricketer. He's a three-dimensional cricketer. He could bowl, he could bat, and he can field. Right? So to answer Kevin's question, I honestly don't know. I can give you a politically correct answer on but people I
I
don't
don't want
know.
your politically correct answer. I want you to tell me what you think exactly.
You
Right?
know, I guess Sammy, we if Sammy says dynamic, we can't play basketball. Right? So if he wants people who could score fast or score quickly, no, he's not a Sammy type player. And then again, listening from Kyron Powell's podcast, it seems like that he's trying to, even if again, and Craig Braffett himself was cast this on himself, that if he doesn't perform, he will be dropped. And listening to, by the way, I'm really in a proud moment looking at the award ceremony tonight. But I'm feeling proud, I should say. But listening to even Ian Bishop said that made a comment in front of everybody that Craig Braffett has a lot more Test cricket left in him. So the question is, why did Ian Bishop say that? Right? So these are the things that yeah. So yeah, no, he's not a Sammy type player.
Mm. So let me bring you in here, Sam. Given the fact that De Silva has been the number one glove man for the better part of 5 years, right? And it didn't seem like anyone was quite challenging him. You think he got too comfortable?
The simple answer is yes. Josh De Silva was effectively dropped in Multan. Came back to the West Indies and put up runs. Right? We can put some question marks, maybe as you rightly said, on his match against, what was it, the academy team or what have you, but across the season, he put up runs. So the point is, he valued his wicket more, what have you, and so on, right? So, yes, he got too comfortable. And it's about 4 years, not yet 5, but 4 years, because he came on towards the end of 2020 and pretty much hasn't played in 2025. So really 4 years, right? Now, here's where I want to go with this, though. What we have to recognize, Joshua De Silva has played 33 test matches, right? 59 innings. That's quite a lot, you see? So as we sit here and we complain and question what is going on with Josh De Silva, let us start with that. 33 test matches. You see? No. Josh De Silva is younger than Tevin Imlach. Approximately, almost 2 years younger than Tevin Imlach. Good? So there is a chance that he can return. So even if, let us say, Shai Hope takes the gloves. Shai Hope is older than both Imlach and De Silva. I think everyone in West Indies cricket expects Tevin Imlach to be the wicket keeper going forward. If not on Wednesday morning, definitely he's one for the future. All right? And so because of his age, we can say, well, look, it is possible that the Silva can come in at some point in the future and retake the gloves. This is not to say that there aren't other people in the wings. Django, you have Joel Andrew also. Possibility.
I'll give you a better name. Carlin Bowen Tuckett. Probably after Tevin Imlach, the next best glove man in the region. But continue what you were saying.
Right. So the point is though that there are people that are knocking on the doors of West Indies cricket in terms of wicket keeping. So this puts now Joshua De Silva in a position where if he wants to make the West Indies team, he has got to do so coming in somewhere in the middle order. Right? He's got to put up the runs. One season of our domestic cricket is not going to cut it. Darren Sammy had an interview. I'm sure he had several interviews in the last few days, but one of them I picked up earlier. And you know what he said? He said, listen, people have to take their emotions out of these things. He uses data. I know there are some commentators in the region who are like, what is this thing about data and metrics and what have you? This is Darren Sammy's process. Let him be. And so he says, all these murmurings about insularity and so on. He said, if it was a case of insularity, then Kavim Hodge and Atenes would have been in the team or been in the squad. You see? So with what Sammy is looking to do going forward at this juncture, right? I have come to the position where I understand why Josh De Silva is not in this mix-up. Good? Another reason we've mentioned time and time again, Sammy is looking to blend all formats of the game. All formats. So he wants his white ball players to be playing red ball cricket. Good? We can't fault him for that. Right? So it is not impossible for Josh De Silva to get back into the West Indies test side. Right? But he's going to have to put in a lot of work. If he's serious about it, he's going to have to put in a lot of work. And I end two things. First, I'm glad that Kieran Powell was able to get hold of him. That is Joshua De Silva and Jason Mohammed, and just to hear what they have to say, right? And the other point, kind of lose my train of thought there, is that, yes, just to conclude, let us remember, Josh De Silva has played 33 test matches. Jason Mohammed hasn't played one.
Yeah, Walter.
Got to jump in with Sammy with the 33 test matches. We like to look at stats. So, Joshua De Silva scored his 100 against England in St. George's in 2022. I want you guys to guess that since 2022, how many 50s has Josh De Silva scored? From 2022 to 2020 to today.
I think the only half century he had after then was against Australia at the Gabba.
All right, you said one. So let me make a guess, please. And when you guys watching this, make a guess.
2022? I think it's probably like two 50s.
Ding, 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 Sammy for the win. He scored a 79 against Australia, as Kevin said, in Brisbane in 2024. And he has an 82 against England in Nottingham. And then the next best score is a 49 against England and Birmingham.
It's pretty much 150 a year, Walter. That's all I guess it's too.
So the fellow understanding, as you said, Sammy, data, what Sammy said about data. We can't be angry that Josh De Silva was dropped. Like, avid fans like us would go and look at the stats. And this would explain to us why Josh De Silva was not selected and not even considered. However, it's important for WIBC, with cricket, West Indies cricket, to explain to the normal cricket fan, because everybody gonna jump. You see, we've left too many things up into the air. As I was speaking to our friend Gregory, our mutual friend, and Gregory said he should drop all of them.
Walter, before we go any further, I'm gonna need you to get this thing right. It's no longer WICB or WIBC or all them things that you just got.
Yeah.
WI. Yeah.
It's CWI, I know. Sorry, CWI. Sorry,
Right.
CWI.
I want them all come food.
Sorry. Cricket West Indies.
We moving on. We moving on. Sammy, in your opinion, was his axing handled properly, and should he have gotten at a minimum a run? Two-part question: a run in the A team.
You know, when it first happened, that is when the A team squads were announced, because it was the 50. It was the unofficial tests. All of those were announced one time. And I was like, wait, where is Josh De Silva, right? It's like, for me, it was, even if he is not part of the the final 11, right? At least he should be in the squad. You know, that was my thinking at first. But look, given where Sammy is looking to take this team, I think it was actually not a bad move to leave Joshua De Silva outside of the squad, right? In terms of how it was handled, I don't recall. Was it the case that he was called by Darren Sammy? I know a conversation was had.
Yeah, you did have a
I'm not
conversation.
sure how that conversation.
You did have a conversation.
But was he called? I
think he said that he called Darren Sammy.
He called. You sure? I know Jason Mohammed.
Jason Mohammed called Darren Sammy. Yes. Jason Mohammed called.
Which is an interesting thing, right? But I don't know. I do think
maybe we can check.
Anyway, whatever it is, he was spoken to and an explanation was given. Now, one of the things we have to recognize when it comes to West Indies cricket is this, right? We should not be too hard on them when they don't always explain every fine detail, right? Cricket West Indies has to hold some of its cards to its chest. And that might sound surprising coming from me, right? This doesn't take away from them having press press conferences and so on, right? But in some moves, it is perhaps wise for them to hold certain cards to their chest, right? In the case of Josh De Silva, maybe something could have been said to the cricketing public, you know, as to where they want to go, so we could better understand what the Sammys thinking, you know. But let us see. Let us see as we go closer to this test match if we'll have a proper press conference with Darren Sammy. And I'll tell you why timing is important. You don't want to give your upcoming opposition too much information, right? But given that Australian cricketers are already made certain moves, people are here, what have you, I think a little more can be said, is what I would say. So I hope I got both of your questions.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with you here, Walter. Question for both of you, right? Given the fact that we got two excellent glove men in the squad right now, right? Shea Hope is an excellent glove man. Imlach is, I think, is the better wicketkeeper of the two, right? how hard would it have to would the Silva have to knock in the future to get back there? Because with Sammy, with Sammy telling him, go make runs, go do great things, right? How hard would it be?
I think his technique is good. It's going to be hard. I think, but I think his technique is good enough for him to play as a pure batsman. I think he should probably just get rid of the gloves for now and just focus on batting. I think his technique is good enough. There's two. It's very hard given Shai Hope, Tevin Imlach, the Carlin Boy Tuckett, the Joel Andrews of the world.
No, not Joel Andrews.
Right?
Yeah, please don't do that, young man. Yeah, please stop doing that, young man.
I am not. Listen to me. You know that I don't want Joel to play for West Indies for the next 5 years, senior team, test team. But I am a West Indian, and I'm a realist, and if he go and score a set of runs next year, he will be knocking on the door. He's already knocking on the door. Y'all know
I'm not speaking about him batting wise. I am talking about wicket keeping.
Oh.
Right? I am speaking about wicket keeping.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm a realist when it comes to West Indies. Y'all know they would put it. Anyways, I am so I included him. There's a lot of people that there's even Kemal Savory.
Not ready.
Right? But I'm saying that my advice to Josh would be, bro, go and bat 4 for Trinidad. And get another season like we had this year. Huh?
Let me bring Sammy in on though. How hard do you think it would be for him to get back in, Sam?
I would say there is less than a 10% chance, less than 10% chance of Josh De Silva getting back into West Indies cricket, because I don't see him getting back there as wicket keeper, right? So it means he's probably going to have to come in as a batsman, right? And what we got to recognize is this, Joshua De Silva getting back into the West Indies team is not only about what Joshua De Silva does. It is also predicated on what other players are doing. Everyone is fighting for a piece of this pie right now. You see? So it's not impossible, but I'm going to be harsh and I'm going to say less than 10% is what it's looking at right now.
All right. So last question for the two of you before I say what I got in mind. Right? We've seen Atenes, Hodge, Moti. Who else? Who else got dropped? I just had the name here. But anyway, the Silva. We're talking about the Silva, and anyways, we've seen
the Silva and Django.
Yeah, we've seen those players get dropped, right? Do you think Sammy is saying, hey, look, I want you to go and beat down this door so hard that you give me no choice, right? Essentially fostering competition, meaning players have got to step up their game. Do you think that is the message there?
Yeah. Yep. It's obvious that that's what. For matter of fact, he has said it not directly, but he has said it directly that people there needs to be competition. Can't remember he said it, but he said that he wants that in his team. He wants that in the setup. He wants that to be the culture in the West Indies. He has said it in no uncertain terms. He has said it. So I understand. Yes, Sammy.
Here's another consideration we must have. And on this consideration, one can make an argument that maybe there is a greater than 10% chance of the Silva getting back into the West Indies test side. And the way for him to do it is as captain of the West Indies test team. Sounds strange, right?
Yeah. So on that,
but listen me out.
Go ahead.
So he doesn't only have to make runs. He has got to lead Trinidad and Tobago well, right? And in so doing, he increases his stock, the value of his stock, to get back into the side. That is one way.
So essentially, what Darren Sammy has said to all these players that have been dropped, the Silva included, is put your head down, do what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, that's all they can control, right? They can control they can control them. They can't control anything else. The only controllable they have is them, right? The fact that the Silva was mentioned in the group for consideration as West Indies captain, do you think Cricket West Indies, Miles Bascom, and Darren Sammy aired when they did that?
Aired when they put him in the mix-up?
Yeah.
For consideration for captaincy?
Yeah.
No, I don't think they aired. No, there are two things here, you know. You see, whenever things happen, it's human nature for us to think about, there's some conspiracy there. There's some grand conspiracy, right? But if we take it on its merit, good, it could very well be the case that, look, they genuinely want to have people in the mix-up who can be considered for captain. And it's not only about this series, but you also have to do some long-term planning, right? So you have a number of people in. And Josh De Silva, who just recently, less than a year ago, was the vice captain.
You went to Pakistan as a vice captain.
Well, there you go, right? So I don't think they erred in having him in that mix-up.
I will build on what Sammy says. Like here, like they will tell you here in the global north, like just get them when you're applying for jobs, just get an interview. So if you get an interview, get some experience. So he knows what he has an idea of what is required, what are some of the questions, what is the process, and what West Indies are looking for. So in the future, he has that. He has that experience of going up for an interview for a West Indies captaincy. And so
another thing finish off.
So if in the future he is considered to become a captain, or he is the captain, he has that knowledge.
The other thing we have to recognize is this. Based on the intensity, for want of a better term or word, of that interview, it is safe to say that the interview is not only about, assessing these potential candidates. It's also an opportunity for Cricket West Indies to gather information. Information is currency, you know.
Information for succession planning?
Yes, because they now have some data. I don't know what questions were asked. But now the information you have can then inform future decision-making by Cricket West Indies. Not only about the captaincy, but other team issues. You understand? Because when you talk to a player, and I don't know if in periods past, if there were proper debriefs of players, like after every tour, do you sit players down and have a proper debrief? I did ask this of someone who got an inkling of what happens in that mix-up a couple of years back. And the impression I got, or the understanding I got, was that no, there's no like debriefs and what have you. I could be wrong. I'm not saying this definitively, but I did not get a sense that there were proper debriefs of all players after every test or every series, whether test or ODI or what. So it's information gathering too.
I'll tell you what. From where I stand, right? And I asked the question of you guys. I think Josh got way too comfortable. I don't, because maybe there weren't too many wicket keepers doing well in the around the West Indies first class circuit. And I don't think he saw himself at some point in time getting dropped. And he got comfortable behind the stumps. He got too comfortable behind the stumps and in front of the stumps. And he has only got himself to blame. Right? When you're playing or you get yourself into those positions, you got to become like Barnacle. You got to hold on tight. You understand? As we used to say in Guyana, you're like a barnacle, right? You got to hold on tight. And you don't want to left no opening for nobody. You don't even want to leave the door slightly ajar, right? Now I know there's times when players form, they kind of drop off for a little bit. But Josh had 4 years and change to build up so much equity that when we went to Pakistan, Andre Kohli shouldn't have been looking in Tevin Imlach's direction. And he didn't do that. So while it is harsh, I think it's harsh that he didn't even get a look in the A team. I would like to think it forces him to go look in the mirror and say, I'm going to come back bigger, better, and badder than the last Josh De Silva that showed up. That's what I would hope he's telling himself, instead of, wondering why this and why and how this and no, just go back to the drawing board and do what you have to do. Put up the runs. Become flawed if you still intend on keeping wicket. Minimize the mistakes behind the stumps. Improve your game behind the stumps. And that is where I would leave it with Josh De Silva. While I think he's a talented young cricketer, talented enough to bat in the West Indies, in this current West Indies middle order based on who we have there, he did himself a disservice by getting too comfortable. And on that note, I would like us to end it there, right? Josh De Silva has got some work to do. As Sammy said, 10% chance. Sometimes all you need is a 1% chance. Right, Josh? All you need is a 1% chance, my boy. Top of our quick one.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, before we go, I would like to say one thing of understanding why Josh was dropped and where Sammy is at. Alec Atenes. We're talking about Josh De Silva, but Alec Atenes. Subman Gill. I'll show you a quick thing,
Gill.
people. Subman Gill, the captain of India. Subman Gill bats 4 for India. Alec Atenes bats 4 for West Indies. Granted, Subman Gill played 32 test matches. He has 500s and 750s. First class, even though we know that India he's played 61 matches, 107 innings, for 4,500 runs, average of 47, 1,490.
You need to make that 600s.
Right? Good. Alec Atenes, 13 tests, 450s, average of 25. First class, 55 matches, 102 innings, average of 32, 200s and 2150s. That's what we're talking.
You're talking about apples and oranges, right? West Indies cricket, as we say, is not fit for purpose, right? What Alec Athene's numbers are reflecting there is just what we're talking about. The challenge in India is greater. If you understand Indian first class cricket, it's a tough circuit. You understand? And the reason why those players more often than not perform, right? There's a reason why they perform. Because they're constantly challenged. When they play first class cricket, whether you're batting or bowling, you're challenged.
So you asked the question, what Sammy's trying to do? Sammy's trying to create that. So I looked at the stats. He realizes and he said this. So we have to create this within the team. That's why. So that's why I brought this up, and that's the train of thought.
Well, it's up to Athenaeus and Hodge,
Josh the Silva,
everybody, Moti,
Django.
Because here's the thing. What I'm seeing with some commentators, especially when they jump in the comment section of our thing, it's like certain players got a divine right to the West Indies team. You know, the guy needs them is Moti got to play. Why Moti got to play? Moti has taken 15 wickets outside of in 9 test matches outside of Zimbabwe. Nothing against Zimbabwe. Right? But he's came up against better opposition. And his numbers are ordinary. Absolutely ordinary. I think Moti is a very talented sprinter. But when the time has come against the opposition that he needs to show up, he hasn't really shown up. So don't tell me, oh, Moti deserves to be there. Based on who? People, I see the Dominicans, they're quarreling, but Athenaeus and Hodge. As Sammy said, you arguing about a 25 average? I don't care if they were replaced by players who averaged 25 or 26 or 27. You're arguing for a player that scores 1/2 century per tour. That is what you're arguing for? Are we serious? Tevin Hodge was the only player that made a century for West Indies last year.
Kevin, you're wicked, you know, man. You're terrible.
No, these people got to realize what's going on. What are you really arguing for? Right? What are you really arguing for? So what they're saying is, what a lot of people are saying is, it's broken. We know it's broken. Don't do nothing about it. Just leave it. Just leave it. And somehow magically it's going to fix itself. Right?
See, I'm arguing for teacher and trying to fall for be an opener.
You see what I'm talking about?
I don't know why you guys get worked up over these comments, you know.
But I talk in not only the people that goes into our comment section, but I've been listening to the commentators of this Sri Lanka Emerging versus West Indies Academy, and some of them talking the same nonsense. Are we serious? These men are supposed to be learned.
And these people close to West Indies cricket.
And these people closer to West Indies cricket than you and I. And this is your thoughts on West Indies cricket. These mediocre players at best you're arguing for. Are we serious? So we rather do what I said about insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Is that where we are with West Indies cricket? So the minute Darren Sammy comes and makes it and say, okay, we're gonna tweak things, we're gonna do things a little bit differently. And everybody parties in a bunch.
So this was just at least the man doing something. I know Sammy apologizes. I don't,
Yeah.
but at least the man doing something that the man doing something. He's thinking outside of the box. He's trying something, people. We gotta give him that, and then we judge him, and then we measure him next July, as we said in the last episode, one of our recent episodes.
Listen, West Indians don't like change. You understand me? We just struggle when it comes to change. Sammy, you got something there for say?
Just to say too that we have said many times on this podcast, the problems of West Indies cricket run deeper than the captain.
And the coach.
By the time, than the coach and the captain, right? Yeah. So by the time Darren Sammy gets a bunch of players, there are things that he's got to correct. He's not working with the Shubman Gills. When in the West Indies, we can create maybe one great player. In India, because of population sizing, like 200 great players, quote unquote. And I say great players with the potential to be great, right? So recognizing what Darren Sammy has to work with, what Cricket West Indies has to work with, and at the same time not absolving them of responsibility, the responsibility to improve on our cricket, right? We just have got to just be patient. He is making some moves. He's doing the best he think he can do with what he's been given, and he has made a deliberate move to go for some older players. I know Jason Mohamed's still in his feelings, but that's for a discussion for another day, right? As to when they talk about older players and what have you, but in bringing back older players, we got to remember players who have toured, who have played test cricket, who understand the rigors of playing international cricket. So it's not simply a matter of bringing in an older batter or what have you. Understand the context of it. So for me, it is clear. Trust the Sammy process. End the story.
And on that note, Top of Half Cricket Podcast, we're going to catch y'all later. We out.